Cool. Hey, everybody, welcome to the first episode of a Wannabe's podcast.
What's up?
So, we're going to talk about cursing today, because, we have very different opinions on that.
This is a lot more awkward than I thought it was gonna be.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Yo.
Okay, so, do we want to talk about what this podcast is gonna be before we really get into it?
We probably should. Yeah.
I feel like this is kind of just a platform for us to a lot of the media we make, whether it's our YouTube videos or our music or just Snapchat stories, whatever you want to call it, is more goofy and funny,
Yeah.
So this podcast that we're doing, I feel like it's giving us more of an opportunity to be serious. Or we're still gonna be funny because we're hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it allows us to talk about more serious topics without worrying about the average person to get offended and stuff. So, with that being said, if you're listening to our podcast, don't get butthurt. We're gonna talk about sensitive issues and just more mature content. So if you're not into that, go ahead and click off. It's not a big deal. We're not gonna hate you for it.
Yep. If you're listening, you are not allowed to be offended.
Yes, exactly. You're not
All
allowed to.
So, one of the first things I want to talk about, though, is, we have talked about it before. We have a really different past and upbringing. So, it really changed the way we view cursing.
Yeah. So, do we want to start off with, how do you see cursing? How, both of our views on it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I grew up more religious than you did, I feel like.
Yeah.
In some ways.
I mean, I feel like you grew up more with a personal passion towards your religion and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up going to a Catholic church every Sunday. So we both grew up religious, but I feel like you were more passionate about your religion. Mm-hmm. For me, it was more of oh, today I have to go to church. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was also so young, I didn't really know what it was and what to believe about it.
It's also really a way that you're raised, whether you're kind of forced into it or allowed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like cursing for me in my house was always if you get in trouble, it was you're being scolded, But I know it wasn't like that for you.
Yeah, for me growing up, whenever I heard cussing, it was my dad and my mom joking around, calling each other a-holes or just cuss words and stuff like that. I never, even when I was getting yelled at, I don't really remember being cussed out or anything like that. It was more of just go to your room or you need to stop acting like that. You know what I mean? Every time I was cussed at as a kid, I guess in my head it was justified. You know what I mean? I didn't feel attacked by the cuss words. It was more of just using words.
I guess I never had it in a good way. Because I didn't have I only had younger siblings. Did you have older siblings? So I feel
Yeah. I had two older sisters. So
they're not here anymore.
Yeah. I mean, they're chilling. They're still here, kind of.
Yeah. Oh no, but I have younger siblings, so the only cursing I ever had was when my parents turn on a bad movie or if they're really mad and yelling at me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, see, I remember when we first this first clicked. I think it was I don't remember when we were talking about it, but I think I asked you. I think it started off with me asking why don't you curse? Because we were close in middle. We first got really close in middle school and stuff, and I always cussed all the time, and you never did. So I think that's how it really started. I was why don't you cuss, Jonah?
Yeah.
And you were just telling me.
In middle school, I really cussed too. I feel I cussed a lot with the U, and then I got really passionate. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Then I got really passionate about religion and everything and Christianity. But then 6th grade though, I always tell people it was a rough time just because of how much I cursed.
So wait, so you say it was a rough time for you because you said cuss words?
Because I don't know, I didn't really care about anyone's feelings. I felt
So just inconsiderate?
Yeah. It was the only way I knew how to use cuss words.
So do you think that maybe because do you think maybe a reason why you kind of give cussing a bad connotation is because every time there was cussing in your life, it was always at a bad time, whether you're having a rough time in life, that's when you cuss. You kind of put those together, you know what I mean?
I feel that definitely is, but also I feel it's built into me, because there's sometimes, and we were writing down things that we wanted to talk about, and one of the things I wrote down was how I feel about other people cussing, because I want to be cool with it, and with you I'm most cool with it than I am with anybody else. So I don't really care if you curse, and with AJ I don't really care, it doesn't always bother me. But anytime it's in a negative connotation, it still turns me the wrong way. You know what I mean? Or like,
Yeah, I get you.
and I have this weird thing too, and I don't know if this is, I don't know why, but like when I really love somebody, especially like girls that I really get close with or something, like there's something about, I guess I just have like this like brotherly like want like protective kind of thing, and so then
Yeah.
when they curse, I'm like, you know, I want to be like the big brother, you know, like that's how I feel
Like, oh, don't
sometimes
you
with.
shouldn't say
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So
I
I
get
don't
that.
know, and it's
It's
like, I feel like I have to comfort them because like, oh no, they're getting mad. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's what goes on instinctually. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, I get that. You mentioned something again. I noticed like you keep bringing up, you stopped cussing kind of when you got passionate about religion and stuff.
Yeah.
So something I have written down here that I wanted to ask you about. Like, do you think cussing is a sin? Like, do you think that's a sin? Like, do you think me saying like fuck, shit, damn, asshole, eat my
But
butthole,
we
like
went we
cock?
went really really deep. Like we get super serious so quick. That's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, do you think, like,
Mhm.
do you think personally, like, someone cussing, do you think that's a sin? Like,
No,
do you
I
think that's
don't
a goes against the Bible?
see the Bible. At least, don't get me wrong. I haven't read every corner of the Bible, but like
Yeah.
all that I've read that goes against sinning is that you shouldn't use words spoken against people. Like in a negative way.
Okay.
You shouldn't curse people. That's why they're called
Yeah.
curse words. But like they're words that we decided are curse words. So if you're not
Okay.
using them in that connotation, then
So that actually brings us nothing I was gonna say. Like, you know, I was that's the same way I feel about cussing too. Is like, if I'm sitting here and I'm playing a game and I'm like, oh shit, or I'm like, oh fuck, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Or like, for instance, I'm using it like in like the right way it's supposed to be, like, someone just kicked me in the dick, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
to me, like, that's okay, but when you're cussing at someone, like fuck you, or suck a cock or something bad like that, you know what I mean?
yeah. I feel it.
I feel like that's bad, I have written down I have somewhere written down here, good cussing and bad cussing. I
There's
feel like
definitely
if you're
difference.
yeah, I feel like that's another way of like connotation with the word. Like, if I'm just saying shit because I'm playing a game and I died or something, I don't think that's bad, because I'm kind of, it's just like, oh crap, it's like the same thing,
Hmm.
but it's just a different word. You know what I
And
mean?
there's definitely like like I feel like for you and for some people there's like a familiarity to it. Like if you were talking to like if I was talking to my grandma, I'm not gonna curse because she doesn't curse. You know what I mean? But if I'm
Yeah, it's also like a
talking,
respect thing.
yeah, yeah. But if I'm talking to you and I know that that's like you grew up that way and that's like I feel like if I was cursing around you, we'd feel a lot closer than if I was making a point to avoid doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I also think we've had a conversation before in the past where it's like, do you want me not to cuss around you? And you're always like, no, you don't. I don't care. Like, you can cuss around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So I
we've
think it's like a
definitely had
respect
that.
thing. Yeah, like, you have to like you have to know the person. Like, some people are okay with it and some people aren't. So like, it doesn't matter if I'm just saying, oh shit, but if I'm saying, oh shit, around a person who doesn't like the word shit, then it's bad cussing.
I've
You know what I mean?
had I've had that happen like every like do you want me to curse around you or is like are you mad about that or you're not
Yeah,
like that? I've had that with
don't you find
everyone.
that annoying? Like, don't you find that annoying?
Absolutely, man. It's so annoying. And like sometimes it wants to be I want to be like, you know, like every time I say no, I don't care, it's fine, because it's not I'm a really patient person, so it's not the end of the world. I don't really care. But
Yeah,
like
and also, if you
there
look at it from their view, they're asking out of respect. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So like I know that they're not meaning it in any way, but like at the same time, a lot of people I know, like you're different because you curse most of the time, like not just when you're mad. So it's like part of
yeah,
your language, but there are some people that only curse when they're upset, and so they're like, "Do you, are you like upset if I curse?" And I'm like, "No, I don't care." But then they don't ever curse unless they're mad, and so then it just gives me that like anxious feeling of like they're cursing, oh, they're mad. And so it's
yeah, yeah,
like when I'm mad, I don't curse. I try to refrain. I do sometimes, but you know what I mean
yeah,
though? Like
yeah. Like, maybe it's maybe it's different for me because like it's so like bad words are so common in my language that like when I hear someone cuss when they're angry, like obviously I can tell when someone's just cussing or when someone's cussing when they're angry.
yeah.
Maybe I don't get like freaked out or nervous because I'm just so used to hearing those words. But maybe since like you're not used to hearing them or like saying them, that's why it kind of gives you anxiety or like freaks you out a little bit.
Yeah, it makes you I don't know, it makes you wonder. Like the way people are raised is really different. And I mean it also makes things like funnier for some people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like for instance, like for me, like if I hear like I don't know why, just like even if it's just like not even the cuss word, but like the bleep of a cuss word, like that's funny to me. And I don't maybe it's just because
have you seen like the unnecessary like censorships where like nobody
yeah,
was
where
even
like they
cursing?
didn't, but they do it anyways to make it sound like it. You know what I mean?
It's hilarious.
Yeah, maybe it's because like I'm kind of like I wouldn't say I'm edgy, but like I do like enjoy like the offensive jokes and stuff like
Yeah, me
that.
too.
So maybe because it's you're not supposed to say bad words when people say it. I think it's funny.
I was
You
just
know what
about
I
to
mean?
say that like I feel like
Yeah.
we get really existential, but I feel like humanity's got this thing where like not supposed to do that. Like, oh, I'm desiring that, like because people,
It's like, oh, I'm gonna say it.
ooh,
You know what I mean?
like
Like
that's why people like smoke and do drugs when they're young. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
it's like, oh, I'm gonna rebel against
yeah,
these
I'm
rules.
just gonna do the opposite of what because it makes me feel good in the moment.
Yeah, I've always wondered like if that's like a psychological thing, like if that's actually implanted in our brain to where like I'm not supposed to do this, so I'm gonna do it, or if it's that's like again something to do with like the way you're raised because there's certain things that like I know like my parents never told me to do that I do, but there's also certain things that they told me not to do that I will never do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like is it really like a psychological thing of like okay, I was told not to do this, I'm gonna do it anyways, or is it like the way your parents approached you
I think
when they were
it's
like
yeah,
what are you gonna say?
I think it's the way that they approached you absolutely because like I don't do that stuff, but that's because like I've seen what it did to my parents more than my parents telling me not to do it. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like go ahead.
I've seen my parents like my dad quit smoking, and I've seen both my
Yeah.
parents drunk, and not in always the most positive terms. And that's a whole nother topic we could talk about another day. But like drinking is not something that that gives me anxiety too sometimes, like low key with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about that with my girlfriend once, 'cause she drinks sometimes, and it's like, I'm not gonna be upset with you if you're doing it, but I don't like things that, and I know it's getting kind of off topic, but I don't like things that like where you of kind of like avoid your problems. I feel like if you're using those things like substances
Yeah.
to avoid your
Yeah,
problems.
agreed. Like like there's a difference between being upset and drinking because it makes you happier and drinking because all your friends are at your house and you want to just be goofy and have a good time.
Yeah, there's a difference. Like
Yeah.
if you're celebrating something, I would drink too.
Yeah, like New Year's, for instance. Like everyone drinks on New Year's. It's not because they're all sad, but it's because it's New Year's. Like that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone's partying and stuff.
Back to what we were talking about with like being raised and like maybe there's a, having like doing certain things because you're not supposed to and then not doing things because
Yeah.
someone told you not to. I think we can go back to religion with that too. Like if you're pounded, be religious, be religious, be religious. Usually those are the type of people who aren't religious because they're pounded.
Hmm.
So maybe like, psychologically when we're told the same thing, it gets annoying. So that's why we want to rebel against it. You know what I mean? So like for
Hmm.
people who are like, don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't do drugs. They're like, oh my God, you say it one more time, I'm gonna do drugs. Say it one more time, they do drugs. Or
That's
maybe if it's like,
absolutely.
I think, or like if someone's like, you might not want to do, like if your parents are like, you might not want to do this because it can do this, this, and this, it kind of makes you more educated while at the same time not pounding you with the thing.
Mm.
So maybe that's why like those kind of people don't rebel, is because that's how they were raised. It wasn't drilling in their head. It was more of educating them why they shouldn't.
I feel like our
You know?
parents are both kind of the same way in that. Like, I know this isn't even cursing anymore, but like, my,
We'll get back.
I mean, not like religion because my parents were pretty like, we went to church, and I kind of saw myself as a Christian even before I knew what I was believing in. And
Yeah.
that's different for some people because like there's people like you who kind of get it like pounded in and then they're like, all right, I'm gonna take a step back and look at this from my own perspective, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
take my own view on this. But there's some people also that are um like their parents are like, you can do whatever you want. This is what I believe and then this is what. And I feel like that's like the best way to parent. Like I'm not, the kind of person, and that's kind of how my parents are. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to go on a tangent about parenting, but like I feel like you shouldn't force your kids into anything and just kind of make them be knowledgeable. Like my parents told me, please don't have sex, but I'm gonna give you condoms in case that you do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like don't have sex, but if you're going to, be safe about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it should be like that with everything. Like even like I think maybe that's why like I'm pretty like even though I cuss a lot, I'm pretty good with it because I remember like when I would get yelled at, it would be
Mhm.
like, listen, it wouldn't be like you can't cuss, you can't cuss, you can't cuss. It would be like, listen, like you can't cuss because some people will take it as or unprofessional. Some people take it as offensive, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, you should just make it a good habit not to cuss, because not cussing doesn't offend anyone, as in where cussing offends some people, you know? So, you know, I feel like it's all just an education thing. Depending on how you're educated, that's really where your beliefs from cussing come from, or honestly on anything, you know?
That's honestly like another thing that's really different about us is because I feel like I grew up trying to stay out of trouble. Like I got really good at making people happy, but that was only because I got really good at avoiding making people upset, you know? Like I
Yeah.
feel like and that's always something I've thought about you because you have older, you know, your mom and your older sisters, and you're just a very protective person just with your,
Yeah.
you know, relationships and stuff like that. So you've like I mean, you're also like a huge guy, so like that plays a part, you know.
I'm not a huge guy.
You're
I'm
pretty
just tall.
big, man.
I'm tall and
When you
skinny,
played football,
dude.
you were pretty beefy.
Okay, I did get kind of beefy when I played football,
But like,
but you know, now I'm a theater kid, so if that doesn't tell you anything,
oh yeah, I just imagine you in that like Hawaiian shirt, like one
oh
foot in
my
front
god,
of the other.
that.
No, but I feel like you're more that protective, and so like you've kind of learned to how and when to speak out and the best ways to do that, and you don't really have that kind of fear anymore if it's the right thing to do. But I definitely still do have that sometimes. Like I feel like if it was really the right thing to do, I would do it. But I've spent so
Okay,
much of
yeah,
my time trying to avoid the problem. I feel like if we both looked at a situation like that, I would try to find the best way to avoid conflict, and you would find the best way to express
end it.
yourself without, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like you would kind of just, you know, I'm wording this the wrong way, but like I feel like you would kind of just try to push the conflict away, where I would more head on take it and then end it that way, whether it's
Mm.
peacefully or more aggressively, you know. And you know, I've always said this because I've only gotten in like one fight, but I hate them. Fights are stupid. But you know, if I know that I can cause something right then, and then it'll never happen again, you know, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Because you know, I feel like dragging on conflict, whether it's like little like baby conflict, but baby conflict lasting for 2 years can be way harder than, you know, one big fight or one big argument that day, and then it ends there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So I,
you know,
yeah.
I can kind of see how like that's different. But you know, personally, that's just what I'd rather do, is have a big argument today and then never have an argument about it again. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'm not it's weird again cuz like I don't know if it's something that I'm doing wrong, and it's something that like man, truth's just coming out here. But I don't know if it's something that I do wrong because I don't get into arguments like I want to say often, but like ever. Like I don't get into arguments with my friends very like often because like I guess they'll start and I kind of, you know, move away from it before it starts. And I don't know if that's building up resentment or if that's resolving it or if that's like if it's really good or really bad. And so I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like, you know, I feel like when you do it, it's not in a bad way though. You're just really good at not starting arguments. Like I don't think me and you have ever had an argument, like a serious one before. I can't think of one. Can you think of one? Like honestly, like I don't care if you say it on the podcast.
Uh,
If we have, it's
no,
like baby steps, and like we've always solved it right then. I feel like, right?
no, no. There's a time you
No?
like banged my mom, but like
Yeah, but you were okay with that. You literally told me where her room was, and you gave me the key because it was locked.
yeah,
Cut that out. Okay.
yeah. You
Obviously
know,
we're joking.
yeah, obviously. You know, another thing I want to talk about was like curse words that are like off limits.
Okay.
C-
Yeah, like sensitive words.
Yeah, because there's
Yeah, I
like,
had that down
and
too.
especially because like, the day and age, like everything's politically correct, you know,
Yeah.
and that's a whole nother conversation for another day. I feel like there's like the same people that want things to be politically correct aren't always politically correct, and I could just go on
Yeah.
forever, bro. But
I agree. Like, you know, but also like, you know, about like those sensitive words and like when is it politically correct to use? Like, what words are politically correct to use and what words aren't? You know, I have this belief where, you know, again with connotation, it depends on how I'm using it, right?
right,
So if, there will be people who right now, like let's say right now we're talking about sensitive words and I name a few. So some sensitive words are faggot and, you know, retarded, right? There would be people who'd get offended
mm,
by me saying that, but, you know, I'm not calling anyone a faggot or I'm not calling anybody retarded. I'm just naming those words, you know?
mm,
I feel like, you know, depending on how you're using those words can be more offensive than others. And I feel like if you're not using it in an offensive way, then you shouldn't be attacked for that. You know what I mean?
mm.
So like for instance, like right now we're talking about the word, so I can say them
Yeah,
and
so that's
it's not
different.
offensive. But like if I'm playing Call of Duty and someone kills me and I call them a faggot or I call them a retard, then I
Mm.
should get in trouble for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then there's a whole
Um,
other like situation of like if you're talking to someone who that like curse word like involves, like if you're talking to someone who is gay, and
yeah,
you're both exchanging the word, like is it okay then or is it not? Because you might
yeah.
offend somebody else, but like if you're alone, so like that's a whole.
For instance, like let's say me and one of my like gay friends, he's okay with me calling him the F word that
Right.
is offensive to them, right?
Right.
And he's okay with me calling him that, and he calls me that, and like that's a mutual agreement. Like if me and him are saying it to each other, and somebody else overhears it and they get offended, do they have the right to get offended? Because I'm not calling them that, and but me and this other person have
I
like a mutual
mean,
agreement that it's okay. You know what I mean?
I feel like if it's like a, like a friend thing, like you're really close friends or you're bros and you're just like messing with each other, because I always agree like you should make fun of like the things that are like bad, you know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
helps us to move past them, like make fun of racial discrimination and race. I love race jokes, stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. I love like white people joke. Like when people say like white people shoot up the schools. Like I think that's funny. Like I know that's a serious topic, but like, I think it's good that people are taking digs at all races. I think that's awesome. Like
Mm.
I know Dave Chappelle does it in like all of his specials. I
I've
don't know if
seen
you know
all of
who
them.
that
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, he takes digs at every race and he's not racist. He just makes racist jokes. So I
yeah.
don't
He's
think he's racist. He's a
equal.
comedian. Anything goes when it's comedy, if you ask me.
I mean, yeah, and I feel like if you're doing it close friends and you guys are cool with talking about it, you should probably keep it like people should probably keep it private. You know what I mean? Like if you're
Yeah, I
like
get that.
within a
So
friend
maybe
group
like
or
don't
just
yeah, so like it would be bad if you were like using those words even if your friends are okay with it in public.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
I
like the
agree with
same
that.
thing goes with like the N word and stuff like that because that's like it's funny because like all the
Yeah.
other words will say, but like the N word's the one word that nobody says until
I'll say it if you tell me I'm allowed to say it. I could see your face through my
just
audio
just
waves.
just yeah.
The N word is that's a hard one because I feel like that word gets treated so differently than all the other sensitive words, you know?
How do you feel about people
Um
that say like, "Oh, we're taking our word back"? You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's dumb. I
yeah, me
think
too.
you know, I really feel like you can say it one way. You can say the exact same word multiple different ways and it has different meanings. Nowadays the N word, back then it meant black, like as in the color black, and then farther through history it became a racial term for African Americans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then nowadays it means like homie. You know what I mean? Like in the same connotation, or in some connotations, it can mean like homie or
Yeah,
like
people aren't
friend or
actually meaning it in
or
that
a
way.
guy. It can literally just mean a guy. You know what I
So,
mean?
yeah, so I feel like it all depends on like how you mean it and like if you're in the like I feel like if you're one of the people that's like, "Oh, we're taking back our word," like it's making it just as much about race
Worse.
as it was about but like before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for instance, like if like two black friends like call each other the N word like as friends, right?
Mm.
They're not using it as the bad word, so like why can't everyone use it that way? I guess that's the way I see it. You know what I mean? Is it's like,
Yeah.
if you're not, it's almost like I feel like people who, and this is my personal opinion. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I understand why you do disagree with me. But like
Mm.
some black people are kind of like, white people can't say the N word. I feel like that just splits us apart even more.
Yeah.
Either I feel like everyone should be allowed to say it or no one should be allowed to say it. As simple as that. Because
Mm.
being like only black people can say this word, or only white people can say this word, or only Asian people can say this word, or any word, all it's doing is like splitting us up as like human and making it more of a race thing when
Yeah.
we can just eliminate race.
I
You know
feel
what I mean? We should
like
just eliminate race out of the picture completely.
I feel like it's one of those things that I don't know if a race is ever gonna be like truly eliminated from it until like unless we get to a point where people are like, where did this word come from? Like, you know what I mean? People say it so often. I mean, in my opinion, nobody should say it because that's,
Agreed.
that's just me.
No, agreed.
But if that's obviously not gonna happen. So like, I don't think it should be like I know it originated from a race thing, but at the end of the day, it's just a word. You know what I mean?
There's been excuse me, there've been plenty of words like that, like, or like, and it goes both ways. Like, I think the word queer nowadays, I think that's unpolitically correct, right? Queer is unpolitically correct nowadays.
Yeah, but I don't
It's
know.
but back then, but I don't know. I know there's a word. It's either this way or the other way. But I'm pretty sure today queer is offensive. But
But
back
like,
a few years ago, that
yeah.
was politically correct.
Uh-huh.
Homosexual people wanted to be called that, and I could be wrong. It could be the other way around. But I'm not.
See,
I'm not. I'm sure, honestly not sure
I think
because
some
it's
of them went, from positive to negative, and some of them went from negative to positive. Because I think some people are like,
yeah,
it's a negative thing, but then also I think there's like shows that have queer in the name. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think I think with like words like that, either everybody needs to be on the same plane with it. Either it's offensive when everyone says it, or it's not offensive when anyone says it
Yeah.
because like we said before, like splitting us into different groups like that, like these people can say, these people can't, like that's just, it's not, not only is it not fair, it's not right. Like
I mean, like, I get it because,
yeah,
if, because to say, like, oh, you can't say it, that's one thing. But to say, like, it's different when you say it because your ancestors used to say it in a bad way. I get why they're
yeah,
saying that, but, like, it still doesn't,
yeah,
like, everything that we just said still applies. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get you. Yeah, it's one of those things where I can understand it, that doesn't mean I agree with it, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So are you kind of like that too, where it's like I get where they're coming from, but you should still change your mind on it, or do you think like they're correct? Like, what do you think?
But the N word specifically? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, N-word or any other word, but yeah, for right now, just N-word specifically.
Yeah, I don't think we should say it. I don't think, I mean, you
I
know
don't
me,
think
I don't
anybody
think we
should
should.
say it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think anyone should say it. I think it's kind of, I think it's still offensive, but I do think it's cool that, like, in a way, I do think it's cool that it's come from being negative to now positive. I do think that's cool that we can do that as humans.
I think
Change our mind state on things and create a positive. I think that shows a lot about us.
I think what's
You know?
cool is because, like, I feel like I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like somebody who is not around or near anybody that uses it positively doesn't understand what you're saying. Because, like, I understand what you're coming from because I've met some of the people that and hang out with, and I've met some of those people in high school too, where people say it and they genuinely don't mean anything bad. They were just raised that way, kind of like how
Yeah,
you were raised that way. And so, like, how you're saying people changed it from a something that used to be super negative to something that's just like another term that people use. I absolutely agree with you, but I think there's a lot of people that would hear
still
that.
use it negatively.
I feel like there's a lot of people that would hear you say that and be like, no, it's still absolutely a negative term, because they don't know or understand those people that use it in a different way. So it's like a whole nother.
Yeah, I guess it's also like a, location thing. Like,
Mhm.
here in where we live, there's
And an
like
age
white
thing.
people, black people, Spanish people, Asian people. Everyone uses it here, and a lot of time people don't care because I think everyone here recognizes that we're using, or not we, but people are, a lot of people aren't using it negatively. You know
It's
what I mean?
also like an age thing, I feel like, because I feel like
Yeah.
it's over time it's gotten to be less of a such a horrible
Gr-
thing.
Yeah, like I feel like there was older people that like I know, like older people that I know,
Hmm.
as in like as elders or whatever, that probably used it negatively back in the day, but they won't even say it nowadays. So when they see all these youngins say it, they're like, "What? Wait, what? Why are you saying that?"
How
Blah,
could you
blah.
say that? Yeah.
But yeah, but then the youngins are all like, "Well, it doesn't mean anything bad now. Like we're chilling." You know
Which
what I mean?
is
Like we're fun.
crazy to think about, because like civil rights movement, like back in the 60s, you know what I mean?
And the '60s was not far.
Yeah,
That was not that
exactly.
long
So
ago.
like a lot of those people that hear them saying that could be people on one side or another. They could be people that were like, we just fought for, our freedom from having to be, hear this word, and now you guys are using it again. That's totally not cool at all, you know.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like there's people that have like still alive from those times, and it's like, I don't know. There's like so many different perspectives you could look at it from, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
Crazy.
Um,
Also, I know this is
Go
totally
ahead.
off topic, but I had it on the like tip of my tongue for a while. We were talking
What's
about
up?
queer. Is LGBTQ, is it queer?
Yes, I think so. I think
Okay.
it's I'm not even gonna try to figure out what it is because I don't know. But yeah, I think it is queer because I think it used to be LG or LG. But what is it? LGBT,
I should
right?
text Liv.
Yeah, text. Yeah, ask her right now, and hopefully we'll get to it. But
What's a
because
queer?
yeah, because I think back then it was just LGBT, and then now they added the Q. I think. Oh no, no, because nowadays it's LGBTQ plus or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
plus, because there's
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's new ones that are being discovered and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think like way back it used to be LGBT and it used to be LGBTQ when they added queer, and then they added the plus when they had like discovered a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah. For anyone that
I'm
doesn't
not sure
know,
though.
Olivia is my girlfriend, and I just texted her to see if she knows. She might.
She might. Something I wanted to ask. I think we touched on it a little bit already, but do you think cussing is unprofessional? Like as a and as a general statement. Like
Considering
if you hear someone cuss, do you think like you instantly assume that they're like an unprofessional person or like rowdy or like just
no, no, because
no?
I feel like a lot of professional people. Well, I feel like a lot of the professional people, and it's really an age thing too, is what I was gonna say. I feel like a lot of professional people that are, older probably curse, but they probably curse in a negative, like, oh, I'm angry, this didn't work out kind of way. That's like that's what I'm thinking in my mind. You know what I
Yeah,
don't know if we're in the
yeah.
same.
I think I know what you mean. I think it's like professional people still cuss in their daily lives,
Yeah.
but that doesn't make them unprofessional because they cuss.
Well, yeah. So
That doesn't make yeah, yeah.
I think that in the world we live in, because age is like almost more of a barrier between people than like races at this point,
Yeah.
because we have a completely different perspective and understanding on the world than
Hello?
our parents do and our grandparents do, who like grew
I
up in
can't
the
hear
civil
you
rights era, like
talking.
we were talking about. So
Jonah,
so if like people
you there?
like the older people will absolutely think that cursing is not
You just
what.
I don't know if you heard me, but you just cut out for like all of that until like just now. Last
Okay,
thing I heard was more than race.
it didn't cut out for me. um
Okay.
Yeah, but no, but for professional people nowadays, which I feel like because age is such a different thing, um, like a difference thing, I feel like the people that are older are gonna be like, you're not professional because you're cursing so much. But like if it was just in like with the perspectives of the people that we have more in our like 20s and stuff like that nowadays, it's gonna be less of a thing because they understand they have the same perspective on cursing as we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you don't mean it in any bad way, why should I take offense to what you're saying, especially if, you know?
So kind of like it depends on who you ask. Like back, older people, as in like, probably like 30s and up. Back when they were kids, it was unprofessional cuss, so they're gonna feel that way. But for us, it's not. So we're not gonna feel that way. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like, but also I feel like because the workforce is, a relative amount, a solid amount of them is going to be the older people, we kind of have to stay quote unquote professional by their terms. We have to stay, not cursing as much. But once you get to a certain point with, people in a professional setting, I feel like you can curse. You know what I mean? They're not gonna.
Yeah, yeah,
People are kind of chill.
yeah. So this is what I was thinking. This is how I feel about it, right?
Hmm.
I don't think cussing itself is unprofessional, but I do think that there's professional times when you shouldn't cuss. So, for example, for those of you who don't know, I'm a photographer, so I reach out to companies sometimes, and I'll try to like get products from them or just try to get work from them.
Right.
And when I reach out to these companies and send emails, I make it really professional. I'm not like, "Yo, what's up, home slice? Let me get that shit for free, and I love you, broski, you piece of shit." I don't, So you have to like, okay, so I'm gonna give you an example. I reached out to this company. I'm not gonna say the name of the company because I'm about to like talk about their CEO. But I reached out to the company. I sent like a really professional email, no cussing, really, polite and like really Englishy, I
Hmm.
guess, whatever you want to say. And the guy responded back the same way, really professional, really Englishy. And then we talked back and forth, and eventually we came to an agreement that he was gonna send me some of their products. I was gonna take pictures of it, and then I was gonna send those pictures back. So I did that, and then after that, he was like, "Okay, hey Tyler, can here, send me your phone number. Let's get on the phone call
Hmm.
and let's talk." Right? So, all right, cool. Get on the phone call with him. Me and him are like talking shit about his other employees and stuff. Like we're literally like cussing, like joking around. So that kind of goes back to like Jonah's point of like once you get to know someone well enough, like cussing can be or not unprofessional. It's not gonna be unprofessional. So like for like probably a month with this guy, I was acting like I was a 45-year-old man who had never said a cuss word in his life. And I get on the phone with him, and he hears my voice. I put a voice to the name, and me and him are like cussing back and forth like we know each other for like years. And
Hello.
he's a
Still
CEO
there?
of the company, and I'm a 17-year-old kid in the mountains. So I feel like it's one of those things where first impressions you need to make it
Right.
professional. So you
Yeah.
probably don't want to cuss, but once you get past that first impressions and they know you and they know that you're a good person, you can let a few shits slip out of you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Sorry, Liv just texted me back. Um, Hold up, 1 second. My butt is sweating so bad. I'm gonna go turn the fan on.
Wow. I
Professional.
I'm distraught.
Oh,
Yeah, that was not professional.
professional.
You should say shit as a punishment. Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to ask you
Oh,
something. So
cool.
I'll wait for
So
you to get your sweaty
I was
butt.
gonna say it, but wait. Let me tell you what Liv said.
Okay. Go
So
ahead.
I said I felt really bad because I thought I offended her for a second because we had like gotten to this point in the discussion where we agreed that it wasn't offensive, and then I
Oh
texted her
God.
and I said, "Totally serious question. Do you know what queer is? Like definition?" She said, "A queer, like a homosexual." And I said, "You know, like LGBTQ. Does Q stand for queer? Hope that's not offensive." And she said, "I think it's used for LGBTQ. Queer is also a term for strange and unusual. I think it's kind of like a fag. That's my personal opinion on it, but it's like embraced now. So it's a normal thing
Okay.
to call a homosexual. Yeah, as far as she knows.
So I guess I guess it was the other way around. So I guess back then it was or was offensive, and now it's
Yeah,
kind of embraced, kind of like
yeah,
the N word.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
even
Well,
more
it's
than the N
cool.
word, because I think it's used in like medias and stuff now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Because I think I always see like or whenever I see like articles or news stuff about let's say it's a gay mayor or something. It's always like first queer mayor
Yeah,
announced, sort of. You know what I mean? So I think yeah, queer is probably politically correct now. I think if it's not, sorry for everyone I just offended,
we're
but that's
really
what I thought.
sorry.
So no offense. um, one thing this is going back to like when we first
Yeah.
started recording, right? But do you remember when we were talking about how you said sometimes you can kind of get annoying and like repetitive when people like ask like, is it okay
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
cuss around you or like apologize for cussing around you? I think we've talked about this before. Like you'll like some every once in a while like cuss around me or like it's nothing like I do, but like whether it's I gotta go take a piss
Yeah.
or like what I mean. And I think we talked about how it's different for me because like I don't freak out. I'm not like didn't you say like people like when you like if you slip up and like say shit or something like some of like your friends that go to your school will be like
Dude, that happens
Jonah
all the
said
time.
I just died.
Too much air, man. You alright?
Yeah, I just breathed in really fast. Oh my god.
Gotta
But
prepare yourself.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, like does that happen like all the time
Yeah.
to you? Like and like have you been like slipping up more? So like is it happening
I've
less
gone
or
through phases. It's like an
like
up and down thing. Like I said, I think we talked about it here, or we talked about it before. I don't know, but in sixth grade, I was really bad and I cursed all the time. And then slowly through
yeah.
seventh and eighth, I stopped cursing because sixth grade I became a Christian. Still cursed.
Because he stopped hanging out with me.
No, it's not true. It was just a byproduct. No, 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 no. But I stopped cursing slowly and slowly. And then ninth grade, I was still kind of stopping. And then 10th and 11th, I got more lenient. And so now it's like, now I don't try to curse, but sometimes I do.
Yeah, I mean I don't I feel like whenever you curse, it's never in like I remember how in the beginning we were also talking about like full circle. We were talking about how I can say shit and I can be like oh shit and then it's not bad, but I can be like fuck you and it's
Yeah,
bad, right? The only time I ever hear you curse, like now at least, is again, it's like I gotta go piss or my dick is sweaty or like it's like it's nothing
yeah,
that's like negative. So it's like I don't freak out, I don't care, you know what I mean? But like if me and you were like ranting to me and you're like fuck that guy, I'd be like oh god, Jonah just said
no,
fuck,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. You wouldn't
I
even
wouldn't
say it
say
to
it
me
to you,
because
but like
But I would never say that about like you know,
yeah, I've
it
never
would be
heard
like
you say that. I've never heard you say
it
that
would
about
be
anyone
like
before.
you've probably heard me like mad and like I'm so
Actually, I have one person, but I won't say his name on the
uh
podcast. It was back in like sixth grade. It was at like a dance. I don't know if you know what I'm talking
I'm trying
about.
to think. Did I get like broken up with or something?
Kind of. And like it's like you kind of got
Oh,
left. This is like in
oh,
sixth grade. You got like
that
left for
super
some other
goth
guy, and the
dude,
guy
bro.
kept like trying to be. He was
He
like,
had like
what?
crazy
No,
hair.
no. Okay, okay, okay. You know what girl
Yeah.
I'm talking about, right? Okay. Um. Remember? I remember like she kind of like ditched you at the dance for this guy, but then the guy kept like coming, sit next to you, and like putting his arm around you. And I remember you looking at me, and you're like, "I'm gonna fucking kill him right now." I remember he kept like mouthing it to me and like saying it.
That's back when I cursed all the time.
I know. No, but I'm like always have like, you know, like you're like, that was back when you had like your little like skinny glasses. Like I'm gonna fucking kill him. I'm gonna kill him, Tyler. I remember you like, dude, it was so funny. But other than that, literally, that's like the only time I can remember. Now was literally in like 6th grade.
That's amazing. No, yeah, I've definitely been mad though, and been like, you know, I'm so fucking mad, you know. But like, and like with you too, you know, and
yeah, never like at somebody though. Like, I don't think you've ever said it really.
Yeah,
to
I don't
somebody,
like to say it to somebody because I don't like. And this is just a completely like my morals thing. Maybe we'll have an episode on it, but like our morals. But like one of my things is I really don't like to hate people, and it just feels like I'm hating people, you know, by saying, you know, fuck you or go fucking do that, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to live. You know, I've thought about that a lot. I really don't think there's many people in like the world that I hate. At least nowadays, I think, you know, as I've grown up a little bit over the past few years, I think I've grown up a lot pretty quickly the last like few months, honestly. Like, you know, I think everyone that I did hate or like did, even the people I dislike right now, you know, I can see how, okay, well, I dislike them because they act like this, but they act like this because of this. So then I kind of like accept that and I don't get mad at them for it. You know what I mean? So I think it's good to like, in general, for everyone to practice that kind of belief where it's like, if you don't like, let's do it right now. Right now, if you're listening to this podcast, think about someone that you really don't like or you really hate. You know what I mean? And think about something that they do or a reason why you don't like them. Okay, and then try to understand why they do that. And then, you know, that's probably gonna allow you to, you know, be a little bit more forgiving and accepting kind of. And that's just a really good way to live because, you know, letting that like hate out and letting dislike for certain people and things out, that just makes you a happier person in general because you're not carrying around that hate on your back anymore. So I suggest you do that with anybody or any issues that you have.
Guess what I'm thinking about, Tyler?
Me?
Yeah. You know why?
Yeah.
No, completely serious though. Last night, literally last night, I had a dream, right? And you and Olivia were getting really, really close, like closer as friends. And I can't.
You've always had this fear that I'm gonna steal your girlfriends. Like
because I don't let you meet my girlfriends. We don't even like the same.
I knew Olivia. Well, I didn't know Olivia before you. I knew her while you guys weren't friends, or you were, but like you weren't.
Yeah, that's about how it went.
But no, dude, we don't even like the same type of girls. Like I don't even know why you always fear that, dude. I swear.
I like brunettes. Have you ever dated a brunette? Oh,
I don't even have a type. Yeah, it's weird because like I'm starting to accept that I don't really have a type. You know what I mean? I've always said, "Oh, my type is blonde hair, blue eyes." Devin's the first girl I've ever dated that has blonde hair and blue eyes. But like, yeah, I'm really accepting that I don't have a type. But if I did, it probably would be blonde hair and blue eyes because that's
I feel like my type. I know we're totally off topic, but like my type is like started with Olivia because I dated her in 5th grade, right? So she was my first girlfriend.
And you literally were like in love with her in 5th grade. I don't remember you talking about it, but I remember you talking about in 6th grade when you were single.
Man, I miss her.
You literally used to say that.
I did. I wrote songs about her. It was whack, bro. In 6th grade. But no, I feel like I based my like perfect girl off of her in 5th grade. Like, you know, it was super weird.
It's so crazy that now you guys are together and you guys are like doing great. You know,
it's crazy, man.
That's awesome.
Cool.
All right, I'm gonna try to get us back on topic here with cussing, right? And then I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with cussing? I have one more. I had a story that I was going to tell you. It's kind of funny, but also kind of super offensive. So we were in New York, right? We were in New York, and so we were at the memorial for 9/11, right? It was so bad. We're at the memorial for 9/11, and you know, me and my mom and my dad and my 2 little brothers, and we're just looking around, like at the looking at like the waterfalls and stuff. Like, have you seen the memorial? You know what it looks like? No, I have no idea what it looks like. I think isn't like there's 2 lights that go up in the sky.
No, it's like where the buildings were, and it's just big squares, like holes in the ground where they were, and like water flows down from them.
Oh wow!
And on the sides, and on the sides is the names of a bunch of people that died in them in 9/11 attacks. So we were just visiting and like looking around and stuff, and there's this one guy who's like total New Yorker, like the definition of like the worst side of New York, and he's like half on the phone wearing like
Stereotype.
a suit, and he's got like a briefcase, and he's like, get out of my way, get out of my fucking way, I'm trying to find my uncle. And I was like, my dad came up to me and was like, hey, don't push my wife, like, because he like pushed through my, me and my mom, and my dad started
Yeah.
cursing him out, and they were cursing each other out, and it's terrifying, man.
I probably would die. Nah, I would actually probably yell too. Dude, I hate him. Dude, if anybody, oh
See,
my God, I can't
that's
even get over it. Dude, if somebody pushed past my
that's
mom, I almost killed somebody at a concert one time because they threw a beer can and it hit my mom in the head. I almost, dude, like dad mode
See,
launched
that's
inside me. I was ready to kill someone.
complete difference.
But like thinking about it, yeah, like but thinking about it now, like it's one of those things. Like anger is weird because like thinking about it now, like the person was probably drunk and did not mean to hit my mom with the beer can. They probably just like threw it up like fuck yeah, Post Malone. You know what I mean? So like
That's
it's like it's stupid.
We're
That I even
totally
get
going
mad
back
at
to what we're talking about, but like that's so yeah.
full circle.
No, but like I feel like I haven't been in any situations like that. Like I've been to, like a couple, maybe two or three concerts with my mom, and I've been to, out in public places like that. And I've never had situations where I felt like I had to stick up for her. But I have had situations where like, my dad got out of the car and started yelling at somebody who cut him off in traffic, you know what I mean? And like they're cursing back and forth. Like so like that's where my view on cursing comes from, and that's why I'm more avoid conflict because I've seen it started so many times in negative ways, I guess. But you're protective.
I think I see where you're coming from, but I would say it's I don't know if I agree with it necessarily because I feel like I've seen also like you said you've seen conflict and that's like you're saying like that's why like maybe you try to avoid it, but like also so have I, you know what I mean? And maybe the difference is I've been involved in more conflict, not just seeing
Yeah,
it. You
I
know what
think
I
it
mean?
is.
Um, but like I saw it, I saw it a lot as a kid, and then I got involved with it, involved more as I grew up, just with like personal
Yeah.
like life stuff, and so maybe because I was involved in it, that's why I'm okay with it, and maybe it kind of scares you because you just saw it, but
You're
I'm not sure. But I
Yeah,
see what
you're
you're
kind
coming
of
from
like
though.
assertive, and I feel like you've always had, even like when you were younger, you've always like, and I'm not gonna try to say stuff about you, but you always had like your older sisters, and your mom, so you always had like people to protect. But like I was an only child, and
Yeah,
like I was just like I was scared for myself, as selfish as it was, being 8 years old, you know what I mean? But like I was scared for
yeah,
myself when like scary things, or I was getting in trouble, or getting cursed at or whatever. And not to say anything bad about my parents, they're great, really, but
yeah. Everybody is going through getting cussed out by their parents.
yeah.
Everyone at least had that
Yeah,
happen once. No, it's not a bad thing. I'm gonna cuss out my kid all the time. I'm gonna be like, "You
but
fucking
like
piece of shit."
even like
No, I'm just
recently,
kidding.
I've totally thought about how that's like the my anxiety is built from that. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm like I don't really have anxiety because like when I go out with friends, I'm all good and everything's fine, and I'm really excited to go out into like
Yeah,
the world, but like staying at home sometimes and just like fearing judgment and fearing getting in trouble, even though I never get in trouble anymore. I don't know, it's just like a lingering anxiety that's just I can never shake.
yeah, I get that. I think I feel like we need to have an episode about this. I think we talked about having an episode about mental health, but I feel like there's a big difference between like clinical anxiety and then just natural,
Yeah,
nerves. You know what I mean? I feel like what you're talking about is
nerves.
more like like yeah, more nerves and like, just not clinical anxiety, but I guess natural
Hmm.
anxiety. And I think that's normal. I mean, nobody
It's
likes
more
to
of
be
a
judged, I mean,
it's more of an
go ahead.
anxiousness than like actual anxiety.
Yeah, and I think that's normal, being scared of judgment, like you say, and stuff. There was a long time where, like, I was super self-conscious about, like, the way I dressed and what I looked like, and that's a story for another day, but, I think that's just natural. I don't think that has anything to do with, like, I don't think anything's wrong with you. I just think it's just a natural
Yeah,
thing, you know what I mean? So, like, don't worry about it too much.
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's subtle. I feel like it's more of just, I think anxiety, I think natural anxiety and especially stuff about worrying about like what people think about you. I feel like that's just a cause. I think that's an effect of maybe not like accepting yourself yet,
mm,
just like as a broad spectrum. I think once you learn to accept like yourself for who you are, then like
mm,
that kind of goes away. I think that's what happened to me, but even then, like it still comes around every once in
yeah,
a while. You know what I mean? It's just like it's something that everyone has. It's a normal thing. You just gotta tell yourself that you're just being a human, you know?
Yeah, I feel. And like a lot of things don't scare me. It's just certain people, and I'm not gonna go too much into that. You know what I mean? But like, just built
Yeah.
up over years. But you've always had that thing, and I don't mean to like, I'm not trying to, fill your ego or anything, 'cause I hate you.
Hmm.
But no, but like even since like middle school, like when I first met you, you came up to me and started doing magic tricks to me. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, I cannot do that now.
you come up to a random person, you're so
But yeah,
good. Hold up, hold up.
I don't know, man. But yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
That was it.
Bless
Thank
you.
you.
Okay,
What? No, that was
go ahead.
I said hold up because I was about to sneeze.
Oh,
No,
you're
that's
gonna sneeze
it.
again? All right, well then go on what you're saying about me and filling my ego because I
Oh,
enjoyed
right,
it.
right, right. No, that was it. No, I'm just kidding. You're like
Me,
super like we've always had these moments like especially when we go out and like do photography. Like I remember moments where like you were like, dude, seriously, it's not that big a deal. It's not that hard at all. See that girl over there? And then you'd go over to her and start showing her tricks. And I just sit back and watch from over here. And it's like, I bet I could do that, but it's just like the way you carry yourself and the confidence you have going into it, that nothing's gonna go wrong. And like I know nothing's gonna go wrong, but like,
okay, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, okay?
okay.
Every time I've ever like gone up to a random person or anything, dude, I've been scared shitless about something bad. I'm not joking, like dead ass. Like in that fear, I don't, that fear didn't go away for a long time, but a lot of it is just kind of like, routine, and learning the subtle art of like, not giving a fuck because, eventually you learn like, but like the first few times, like I would like, I remember when I first
Mm.
started doing magic, I decided I was gonna start going up to people when I was at Myrtle Beach one time. The first day I probably went up to like 5 people and, a lot of them I'd walk up to and then just be like, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going to say and walk away.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But and so, I think the only reason like you have that thought of like me, like just always being able to go out there and do it is because you never saw the practice. You
Mm.
know what I mean? You never saw me freak out and walk away because I tried to do it when there
Yeah.
wasn't people around me who
But
knew me,
I'm
and,
a
another thing that it makes itself, and this is
yeah.
something that you can do too, that like in the future, I mean, you're way better about it now, but think about it this way: you're not gonna know that person doesn't know who
True.
you are. You know what I mean? They're not gonna. If they judge you, they're judging a stranger. That's what I looked at it. Right now, they're judging a stranger. They're not judging me. They're judging some random guy who has a deck of cards in his fucking hands. You know what I mean? They don't.
You
They
know,
don't. So that's one thing that got me past it. And once I taught myself that, then I got better at going up to strangers. And once I got better at going up to random people,
mm,
I was able to go up to people I knew because I was more confident I knew them. And then I realized it was easier to go to people because if I mess up, you play to your fail. You know what I mean? There's been so many times that I flip the card over and it's not there, and I'm like, okay, let me try that again. And then
yeah,
people
yeah.
laugh. You know what I mean? Like you make a joke out of your mistakes, and that's why I know that I started to learn that okay, even if I mess up, I'm gonna make a joke out of it, and they're still gonna
Yeah,
laugh their
yeah.
ass off, so it's okay.
Yeah,
You
I've
know what I
been
mean?
there. I feel like and this is another thing that I feel like you definitely have, but I guess when I'm solo, I can't like find necessarily a reason to go up to somebody. Like if you're doing magic, that's a reason to go up to somebody. But like I have like
Okay.
this selfless confidence, like if I was out with my girlfriend or something, and okay, so like weird story. Once we were going in Chipotle, and she only had $5 and she needed $10, but she has this big like bucket basically in her car of just change. So she pulls out five more
Yep.
dollars in quarters and she's like, "We're gonna do this." And she's all confident. We're halfway in line, and she's like, "Can you give them to the man?" And so, but like I wasn't scared at that point. I was like, yeah, sure. Because I'm doing like if I'm doing something for somebody else, if I have to go up to somebody and talk to someone I've never met before for somebody else that's like too scared to do it or something, like that's why it's really weird because in my life right now where I spend most of my time alone, it's very different than if in the future where I'm going to be spending my time with like, a family or a girlfriend or friends all the time. So like
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm necessarily like I feel like I know less about myself now because I spend so much time alone. I don't know how I'm going to be there. So I don't know.
I wonder. I think that's like. I think I know what you mean. You mean like like if you want to go up to somebody, but like you want to go up to somebody, it's more nerve wracking than if somebody asks you to go up to somebody random or do something different.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that what you're
like
saying?
if I have to go up and talk to somebody like on my own, like if I have a like serious reason to go up and talk to somebody like, "Hey, you dropped your wallet." I'm not I'm not upset about it. I'm not weird about it. You know what I mean? Like if I had to go up to somebody for a reason that I wanted to do so, that's where it's a little different. That's where it's like, because like you want to go up to show magic tricks. But like with my friends, like I've got a lot of anxiety ridden friends. I've got like really anxious friends. And so like if they're like, once okay, so when we went to see your show, Catherine was like, "Oh, I know that girl. She's super cute. I love her hair." And I was like, "Let's go tell her." And she was like, "No." And I was like, "Come on, you haven't talked to her in forever."
Oh,
I think so,
Nevaeh.
yeah.
Nevaeh.
We
Yeah.
actually went up there and it was super awkward. And she was like, "Hey," and they were like, "Hey," and they had like two words to each other. And then Catherine was like, "That's so awkward." I was like, "But at least she did it." And then we walked away. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if there's somebody
Yeah.
there that I feel like I'm doing it for, it's different. And if I have a reason I feel like I'm doing it for, I don't know. I don't want to make excuses, but also I feel like it's a lot of anxiousness when it's just me. Like if I want to go up and tell someone like, "Hey, I make music, you should listen to my songs," or if like I want to perform in front of somebody, like, you know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's because like, you're putting yourself out there for you, so there's like a bigger risk. Like, for instance, like if you, like for instance, you said if you're gonna go like introduce yourself and tell somebody, hey, listen to my music, that's like, oh God, I'm doing this for myself. Maybe they're gonna think I'm weird. But if you're doing it for somebody else, it makes you feel good. And if you mess up, in like a selfish way, it's not gonna mess up what
Yeah, if
you're
I
doing. You know
miss
what I mean? Maybe like subconsciously, that's just like what do
if
we
I'm
do
doing
as
it
like
for other
people,
people, I have like a stronger reason for doing it. So if things screw up, it doesn't
like
really matter
yeah,
because I'm
like you
doing it.
want to do it because you're
Yeah.
helping somebody. Yeah, like it's easier for you to do it because you're doing it for someone else, so you want to do it. Like naturally, we love helping people, so like you want to do it because you're going to help someone else, and then also you have less fear of messing up because if you mess up, it's not going to hurt you because
Yeah,
it's
because
someone else, and I don't think that's something that like we realize. I think that's something that's like subliminally
yeah.
happening in our head. You know what I mean? But maybe
Yeah,
that's why.
there's
I'm
definitely
not sure.
similar people there. Um, I wrote down relationships and religion. We've already talked a lot about religion, but like relationships, I
Yeah.
meant like
I,
like boy girl relationships or love relationships, whatever gender. you know.
yeah. I think that we can say that for a whole other episode.
Well, I
Like,
meant like
you know what I mean?
cursing
Um.
in the relationships. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean like
Yeah,
at
because
each
there's a
other
lot
and
of
stuff?
people. I've seen a lot. I
Ooh.
see all these TikToks with like girls and like guys are like, you love each other when they're just like totally ripping into each other, cursing, and it's like not me.
See, yeah, I don't know if I agree with that because, I don't think I've ever cussed at Devin. If I have, very rarely. I think there might have been times that I have, and if it was aggressively, I apologize. Probably like once, and I've never done it again. I
Mm.
can't even remember, but I don't really cuss at Devin. I think one thing that reason our relationship is pretty strong is because I don't really yell at her a lot. I don't, when we get into arguments, for me at least, I'm really soft
Yeah,
spoken. You know what I mean? And a lot of the time she's the same way back. And if she's not, she always
yeah,
apologizes afterwards. So and I think that's one reason why this is probably my first real girlfriend. You know what I mean? And I think you know that when we're arguing, since we're not cussing at each other and we're being calm and we're listening, I think that's actually what's making it strong. I feel like in relationships, yelling if you're yelling during an argument and you're cussing at each other during an argument, you're not actually listening to them. You're just expressing your
exactly. Yeah,
anger. You know what I mean? Like we talked about it during this whole podcast. I cuss all the
yeah.
fucking time. You know what I mean? But I make a point not to cuss when I'm arguing with Devin or when I'm
Mm,
arguing with anyone for the most part. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that shows that I'm acting different because
I
I'm
feel.
paying attention. You know what I mean? So I think that that's something all relationships should practice is show
Mm,
them that you're listening by not cussing and freaking out on them. Because also everyone is naturally defensive. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's
Like if
just
I
human
said, "Hey, fuck
beings.
you,
What the
Jonah,"
fuck, bro?
yeah, like
Yeah,
but like it caught me off guard. If I, but like if me and you are arguing, right, and like I think we talked about this earlier, like me and you don't really argue, and if we do, it's really
yeah,
soft spoken, right? But if we're arguing, and I'm like, fuck you, Jonah, naturally and subliminally, you might not even mean to, you're gonna get defensive, and that's gonna make you want
yeah,
to cuss at me back. You know what I mean? So now ignore the issue you guys are arguing about. all that's in subliminally in your head is, I need to cuss at this person. I need to give him back what he did to me, you know? So if you take that out, all that's left is the argument. And when all that's there is the argument and not any anger and not any upsetness, that's how you figure out issues.
And I don't know,
you know what I mean?
I don't know if this is just me, but like in relationships, and also I feel like it's like, I don't want to say it's like a gender thing, but I feel like it's kind of a gender thing because of like, you know, the way that I was raised with my mom. You know, my dad always like pushing me onto my mom, like love your mom and everything, you know, and be protective of your mom. So I'm like super protective of my girlfriend, you know, and I'm super protective of Liv. And so then like if I were to like curse at her, it's kind of like if I were to curse at like, you know, my kid or something, like I'd immediately regret it and apologize, the kind of thing, you know what I mean? And I've never done that, but
so like you're saying like maybe like you were growing up to like be like you don't you know you protect this person because she's your mom. So now like you look at it kind of like with your relationship where it's like you don't yell at this person.
I was growing up with this like natural respect towards like, you know, my mom and like just kind of women in general. Yeah.
Family. Like yeah. No, me too, definitely. Like growing up with two older sisters and a mom. Yeah, and living with them. You know, that's all I had, you know.
And people,
yeah, I get that.
People like my mom, you know, and my mom's got anxiety, and so does Liv, and so a lot of my friends do too. It's really weird thing to think about how people say you end up with people like your parents, or you end up around people like your parents, and then you start to think about, you know, who your parents are, and then who your friends are, and then it's like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's weird. Me and Devin were just talking about that. So, you know, it's really funny because, you know, me and Devin are like we'll last so long, and like I'm like, I really think I want to marry this girl, right? But at the same time, me and her are completely different. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm super open minded. I'm willing to like accept anything. You know, she's a little different. She feels really strongly about her opinions, which is okay. You know, everyone's different. But you know, it's weird because that's the exact same way that my sisters were. So it's weird too because you know usually I get along better with people that are open minded like me. But yet here I am like falling in love with this girl who's like really feels really strongly about her opinions, just like my family, you know. So that's weird to think about that, how true that is. And I have a theory about it, right? This goes along with I'll get back to that. But I think that it's because since we're familiar with that, our body or like our brain naturally wants to be with something that's familiar. You know what I mean? Something that's unknown is scarier than something that's known, no matter how scary it is. You know what I mean? If you're around spiders all the time, you know, but then you see it. Okay, so if you have a choice to be in a pile of snakes or a pile of spiders, but you're around spiders all the time, they're both scary, but you're gonna go with the spider one. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing with that. You know, I mean, maybe in my brain, you know, growing up, I grew around with people strong-minded so much, even though it annoyed the shit, felt strong about their opinions. You know, even though it annoyed me, I still want to be around her. You know what I mean? And I have a theory that this is the same thing with, you know how I'm not gonna generalize this. Some girls will get back with a bunch of crappy guys, like, and everyone's like, why the fuck are you doing that? You know what I mean? I think it's because, you know, they're always with these crappy guys, so, you know, their brain, it's becoming familiar to them. You know what I mean? So then when they finally get in a relationship with a good guy, it's like, oh my God, this is different. I don't like this, and they leave. You know what I mean? And, you know, I think that's why why we always see that happen. And I think it's just like a cycle that the brain needs to break, you know. So if you know, for all you ladies out there, if you know, if you have been in a lot of crappy relationships, and you finally find a guy who's a lot nicer, but like you kind of feel like you need to leave or dip out, you know what I mean? Give it a few weeks, you know. Your brain might get used to it, and you might realize that that's way better than the relationships you've been in.
No, I agree.
Boom. All right, I have one more thing I want to talk about. Okay, I want to talk about kids cussing. Okay, how do you think, like, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? How as a parent do you think like somebody should, like, maybe not as you as a parent because you're not, but how do you think parents should handle kids cussing?
No, I think
you know what I mean? Well, how about we start with how did your mom, like, I mean, did you ever like cuss as a kid and get yelled at? Like, you know, if you did, how did your parents handle that?
I really didn't, and I don't know if it's because, and like I know times where I did, and there were times where like I would like kind of cross the line at like the dinner table and make a joke and say penis, and because I thought it was funny, like, and you know, and sometimes I get yelled at, and other times they'd laugh and say Jonah, you know. And I've been in those situations, and my little brothers do it too sometimes, you know. But it's like, I don't know if it was because when I was raised, I was, you I just never thought to say it, or like I never heard those words, because earlier in my life my parents, didn't really curse, or if it's because I only ever heard it in the negative and I knew it was wrong, I knew if it was bad or something. Um, so maybe
Yep.
I didn't curse because of that. I'm pretty sure I probably cursed a little bit in like, fifth grade, and then definitely in sixth grade, So at that point, I knew I was, avoiding saying it. So like, I guess my parents, uh, they would tell me not to say it, but like, there was no special treatment needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess you kind of just picked it up
I
on your own
never,
that it wasn't
yeah, and
necessarily a
I
good
never
thing to
really
do
got
as a
caught
kid.
saying that kind of stuff like with you.
Okay, so here's how I was as a kid, right? Like I said, like my dad cussed a lot. It's like, but like as a
Yeah.
joke, you know what I mean? And same thing with my mom, and like, and I remember once my sisters got into high school, they would cuss too, and my mom wouldn't really care if she was around me, or if they were around me, then they would tell them to like, or she would tell them to stop or watch their mouth.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But as a kid, I always have this weird memory, and I'm pretty sure I was probably like 3 years old, like I was young, but I still remember it clearly as day. I was sitting on the floor. I couldn't even walk. I'm pretty sure I could barely walk. Like
Yeah.
that's how young I was. But I kept saying bastard, and my dad would like everyone in the living room kept dying laughing like so bad that they could not tell me to stop. Like they just kept laughing, and then eventually my dad finally was like, "Okay, you need to stop saying that, right?" But I think it goes hand in hand with me just thinking it's funny. That's why I
Yeah.
cuss. You know what I mean? But as I got older, obviously I cussed a lot, and like even in elementary school,
Mhm.
and that's when I started to get in trouble for it, like especially in school and stuff. And I remember there was this one time, I think it was in like third grade, me and my friend Matthew, we cussed on the bus a lot and like said fuck and wrote fuck everywhere, and we got in big trouble for it. And I remember my dad didn't even yell at me. He kind of just like sat me down and told me that he knows that I think it's funny, and honestly it is fun. He told me like it's funny, right? But some people think that that's not nice and that it's not good for you, and people think you look bad when
Yeah.
you say those words. So you have to make sure if you're going to use bad words like that, you need to do it in a safe environment where you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. And that always stuck with me. So I remember ever since then I never got caught again, or I never got in trouble for cussing at school. And I think that's another big reason why I don't cuss when I talk to Devin or certain people, is because, like he said, there might be some people
Yeah.
that don't like it. So I know that. So I think that sticks with me. And like, okay, so in an arguing situation, they're not going to like me cussing, so I don't do it. So I think that I don't think if my kid and this is my personal beliefs, I think when my kid drops the fuck word for the first time, I'm not gonna yell at him and spank his beauty cheeks. I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna just be like, listen, you can't say that. It doesn't look good. It makes you just look bad.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I don't think I really don't think the kid should be punished for cussing. I think he should more be educated on why he shouldn't cuss, and then hopefully that stops him from cussing. And if it doesn't, then maybe punish him like a little bit, but still try to explain to him more why
Yeah.
he shouldn't, and then hopefully that will let the kid know why he shouldn't, and then he
If he,
shan't.
yeah,
He shan't.
if he or she doesn't know what they're doing wrong, then it's not anything bad, I don't think. Especially if they're just, even if they're trying to be funny, like say they did something, like they said it, and then you're like, no, don't repeat that, don't say that. People don't like that word, That's not everyone sees that as a good word. It's usually a bad word, so we're gonna try to not say that, okay? And then and then they try to be funny because they hear someone else being funny, and they're like, oh, okay, I can be funny, and then you're like, no, but don't say that, don't, and then if they did it again, then it's like,
Yeah,
okay, I told you it's, you can only use it for funny things if other people are, and that's after like a certain age, you know what I mean? Like if they're like first
yeah.
words.
Or like fuck shit, damn it. You can laugh that off. I feel like that can be laughed off. They don't
Oh,
know what they're
jeez,
saying.
man.
Or put them up for adoption or something, because that's there's no fixing that. Jokes, of
All
course,
right.
joking. But something I just thought of is, what, like, there's certain things that like I always neglected when I was a kid that I really think about. Like
Hmm.
like I realized that there was a method to the madness that
Yeah.
my parents would say. So just now I was thinking about it. Like whenever you would get in trouble, or for instance, say a cuss word, your mom would be like, or your dad would be like, why did you do that? Or why did
Yeah.
you say that? You know what I mean? As a kid, I'm like, why is they asking me that? Like, or like, I don't really know why I'm asking that. But thinking about it right now, like as we're having this conversation, it makes sense, because let's say I said a bad word and they're like, why did they say that? And I'm like, because I thought it was
Hmm.
funny. You know what I mean? So now as a parent, I know, okay, he thought that was funny. Let me explain to him why it's not funny.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how like that's why they always ask you why did you do that or why did you say that, so they can explain to you why that's not
Yeah,
why you
yeah.
say that. You know what I mean? That's weird. I didn't even think about that.
No, I feel it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know if do you have anything else you want to talk about. That's really everything I wanted to say today.
No. Yeah, we talked about a lot.
Yeah, I thought it went pretty good actually. It was a little
The
awkward at the
very
very
beginning, yeah.
beginning, but it. I feel like it. This is pretty. I feel pretty
Yeah.
comfortable talking to you just
I think
in
I
this
love you.
microphone. You know. Yeah.
What?
What?
All right, that was
Yeah. No. And we're back to the awkward full circle, boys. All right, guys. I think that's gonna be it for the first episode of a Wannabe's
Yep.
podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed listening, and feel free to like hit us up if you enjoyed this and you think we should make more, and
Yeah.
we definitely shall.
All right.
All right. I guess we'll